Okay guys, I have a crisis. I haven't read a 5-star book in months, like in a year almost. And I was like thinking about it, and honestly that is really, really depressing. Like, oh my god. But I've been seeing this video going around where you like read until you find a 5-star book, and that seems super fun because it's not like a regular reading vlog where you have to like sit down and do it like continuously for like an entire week. You can just like spread it out for like whenever you read, and then you stop the video when you find a 5-star book. And so I'm very excited to do this. I don't know what book I'm going to start with, but I just wanted to like film the intro to like motivate myself to continue the video, because sometimes there are like 5 videos out there just like floating around in my computer that like I started and then just didn't have the motivation to like complete. So I don't know what book I'm going to start with first, but I kind of want to start with Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, because I kind of have hopes for that one, but I also don't want to start with like a book that like I know I'm gonna like, or like I feel like I'm gonna like, or that I have, that has potential, because I don't want this video to end after like one book, because that's really boring. So yeah, I'll have to like formulate a plan from least to most potential book, Yeah. Okay, so I started Once Upon a Broken Heart last night, and I'm like more than halfway done. Like, I finished this, and I'm on page 223. So it's definitely not going to be like a 4-star book. Like, I kind of knew that going into it. I just felt like because it was the finale and the other 2 books were like 4 stars for me, I felt like it would be 5 stars. But like so far, I don't think it is, because nothing is happening and we're already like 2/3 of the way through. So I don't know where it's gonna go from here, because like she gets her memories back, and then what? Like, she's still married to Apollo. So like I don't know what's happening. But I still like it. Like, I'm still enjoying myself, and I'm still having like a lot of fun, and Jax is here, so we're all having fun. But like, yeah, it's not gonna be 5 stars, but I'm still gonna continue it. And I also wanted to update and tell you guys that the first book I finished was actually Hot House Flower. Yeah, I did end up finishing that book, and I wasn't gonna like include it in the video, but I might as well, just because like it's supposed to be kind of like a reading, like this video is sort of like a reading journal, like of all the books I've been reading until I get to the book that I want. I have thoughts, and I think the most glaring thought is she is 18 and he's like 20, 23, 24. I think he might be 25. He's 25. Yeah, they're 7 years apart, so he's 25. Which means when she was 12, he was 19. He was a full-grown adult when she was in middle school, when she was a preteen. Before she was even a teenager, he was a full-grown adult. Like, he was legally an adult. That's a little weird. A little bit. Just a little bit. That's a little weird. So I read a little bit more, and now at this point, Evangeline has like all her memories back, and she hates Apollo, as she should. And now she's trying to find Jax, because we don't know where he went. And I think it's like almost done. I'm literally like 3/4 of the way through, so like I'm almost done. It's a really short book. It didn't take me that long. But I also have pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie. Like, I'm not a pie person because I don't like the taste of like preserved fruit. I don't know, like I just don't like it. But pumpkin pie, I can eat this like all year long. I love pumpkin pie. I finished A Curse for True Love. I didn't give it 5 stars. I mean, I didn't expect to give it 5 stars, but I also didn't give it 4 stars. I gave it 3 stars, which is not good, because I don't know what I expected, but I expected more. I also feel like part of the problem is just like me, because I don't remember a lot of what happened in the first two books. Um, so like in this book, they kept referencing these like small little scenes and details, and I feel like those really added to the third book. But because I couldn't remember those scenes from the first two books, like I just didn't like, like I couldn't remember them for the life of me. I was like Evangeline there for a hot minute. But yeah, I feel like that's part of the reason. But it's also because it was just so slow in the beginning, and then it like sped up, but it sped up at the very, very end, to the point where everything like happened in the last 5 pages, and everything just fell into place in the last 5 pages. And it was a little predictable, which like I don't mind, but it's okay. Fear not. We're gonna go select my next book, because I'm in a very like, I want to read. I feel like reading, and that hasn't happened to me in so long. So we're gonna pick my next book. Okay, we have a few options right now. Okay, so I've been really, oh crap, it fell. Okay, I've been really wanting to read, this. I've been really wanting to read Swordcatcher for a really long time. It's very thick, so I feel like now is a good time because we currently have Thanksgiving break. But I don't know if I want to read this or this other book on my phone. Okay, I'm on page 63, so I didn't make that much progress, but I just wanted to know, like, nobody writes friendships like Cassandra Clare. Like, nobody writes friendships like Cassandra Clare, because she always adds, like, this, like, not magical, but this kind of, like, element that makes it seem like they're kind of, like, bound together. It's not just, like, by choice. It's kind of like, oh, we were meant to be friends. It's like soulmates, but with friends, and I love that, because I don't know, like, nobody writes them like her. Like, no one is doing it like her. Like, with Will and Jem, Chase and Alec, Cordelia and Daisy, like, nobody writes friendships between two characters the way Cassandra Clare does. Like, even in this book, I noticed that, like, she has kind of a parabatai thing, but it's the sword catcher. It's, you know, Kel and Connor's friendship with each other, and like they have a vow also, like the Parabatai oath. They have like an oath in this too, and they say it every time Kel takes Connor's place, and their friendship is voluntary. It's not like they have to be friends, unlike Parabatai. But like it just like that element to it just makes them seem so much closer, and I love like found family like this. I love like reading about friendship and like soulmates with friends, and Cassandra Clare is the best at it, like arguably one of the best at it. Okay, I have a really quick update, and it's like not even really related to my progress. It's just I have a feeling that the romance is between like Connor and Lynn and Kel and I always forget her name, like Antonita, is that her name? Yeah, I feel like it's between those two and then those two. But originally, like, based on, like, the summary of the book, I genuinely thought it was between, like, Lynn and Kel, because they're the main two perspectives. But, like, I should have known. Like, leave it up to Cassandra Clare to, like, pack as many romances as possible into, like, one little book. Okay, it's not little, it's, like, thick, but, like, Also, nothing has happened. Like, I am literally 1/3 of the way through, or like I'm on page like 163, and nothing has happened. Like, literally, they have not gone anywhere. They have not like, like the summary or the blurb had me feeling like, oh, you know what, things are going to progress quickly, because it keeps mentioning that there's like a failed assassination attempt, which brings like Lynn and Kel to get like to work together. But, like, nothing has happened. There's been no assassination attempt. The two characters have literally barely crossed paths. Like, they've never crossed paths. Okay, there's, like, one moment, but, like, nothing happened. So, things are going really slowly. It's, like, the fantasy book thing where it takes, like, a while for them to, like, actually get into the story. And, like, for them to like kind of introduce all the characters and introduce like the world, especially because I feel like because it's such a new world and it's like Cassandra Clare's first time writing an entirely new world. I feel like that's another reason, because in her other books it was just very, you could read them as standalones, but there was like this certain level of understanding that you got by reading all of the Shadowhunter books, because there were like small details spread throughout all of them, so she didn't waste a lot of time like with world building. I mean, there was a lot of world building, but it was so interspersed throughout all her books that like it felt like she didn't spend like chapters and chapters on it. But in this book it's very obvious that there's still like a lot to go. I really like the world so far. I really find it interesting. But like there's so many descriptions. There's descriptions like every other page, and each description lasts like an entire chapter almost. And it's so like, I just want to get to the characters, you know, like it's not good that I'm like skimming right now. Like I'm on page 163. I should not be like skimming for dialogue already. Like that's more of like a chapter like 20-30 situation. But yeah, I mean, I still really like it. I still really like it. I stand by that. But faster, please. Okay, so I finished Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. It took me like an entire week to finish this book. Like I was going painfully slow, which is weird because I was actually enjoying myself. Like I liked reading this book. It was just, I don't know if it was because I was busy or like whatever, but it took me a really long time. But I finished it. And I really liked it, but it wasn't 5 stars. It was like 4 stars, which I feel like is a fair rating. And I feel like it's a strong, like, what do you call it? A strong, like, step into, like, adult fantasy, which is her first time in this genre. So I feel like it was a really good book for that. I didn't, like, love, like, I'm not obsessed with it because, first of all, it is, do you see this book? It is easily, like, 600 pages. It's more than 600 pages, actually. And I say this all the time. Like, I say this all the time, like, almost in every single vlog, every time I read a book. But, like, I have rarely ever read a book that is, like, more than 400 pages that needs to be more than 400 pages. You know, like, every time I've read a book above 400, it's always been, like, I can at least think of, like, 10 things that you can easily remove, like, 10 random scenes, 10 long descriptions that will shorten the book, like, tremendously and, like, make it more fast-paced and make it more entertaining. And I understand that it's like the first fantasy book in like a completely new world, a completely new series, so like, you know, the descriptions take a while and like whatever. But it was like scenes in the middle where like they spent like 2 pages describing a street or something, and they like spend like too long, and then you like lose your train of thought because you're following this character's train of thought, and then they like go back to the present and you're confused. And I feel like that shouldn't happen. But like other than that, I don't really have any complaints. And the fact that like the characters, I didn't love them. But that's not like, it's not a complaint because it might be me, but I don't know, I feel like they weren't very super fleshed out. Like Kel, I felt like his character fell very flat, and he just didn't have like, he didn't really have a motive other than to like protect Connor and do his job. And he was like mad at Connor, he wasn't mad at Connor. And the weird thing is that like the amount of conversations him and Connor had throughout the book were like so minimal. Like they'd be in each other's presence, but like they rarely ever had conversations with each other. But we'd constantly, like, it felt like they had so many interactions because he'd constantly be thinking about Connor. And I understand that like adds to their friendship, and like it adds to like Kel's job, which is literally to protect Connor. But at the same time, like it's like that's his entire personality, and I would have liked to see like more of his personality. Like we don't really know what he likes to do or what he likes to like eat, or I don't know, like whatever. We just saw like him talking about what Connor likes to do and what Connor does, and it was like, okay, like we get it. Like I felt like she very badly wanted to write in Connor's perspective but couldn't. I still liked Kel. Like I did not like him. He was honestly like one of my favorite characters because I did not like Connor and I did not like Lynn, but I loved Antonetta. Like, I loved Antonetta. She is like the most reasonable character in this entire series, and if we don't get like a book with her perspective in it soon, I will be protesting. Like, this is criminal. She's easily one of the most interesting characters that Cassandra Clare has written in this book, or like maybe overall, because I feel like all the characters, all the female lead characters mostly in all her books, they're very like outspoken, they're very loud, they just like express their opinions. But Antonetta, she's just like kind of in the corner and she's like plotting, and everyone just thinks like, oh, you know, she's like frivolous and she's like shallow, and she probably has never had like an intellectual thought in her entire life. And then you actually have a conversation with her, and she's literally one of the most like genius people you've ever met in your entire life. She's literally a mastermind. Like, she's crazy. I love her. She's The Man and Mastermind by Taylor Swift, like together. Like, those two songs together is Antonetta, and I love her. She's so like, oh my god, I love her. I love her. Who I didn't like was Connor. I know we're supposed to like him, and I feel like Cassandra Clare, like, by writing adult characters, she honestly just tried to write like her like teenage characters, like the formula she uses for like her teenage characters, and then like age them and make them meaner. And she's like, oh yeah, here's an adult now. And Connor just kind of gave me the ick. Like, him and his friends, like him, Kel, and like those friends they hang out with, were just the Merry Thieves from The Last Hours in a different font, and they were just like meaner. They were just crueler, and they weren't like nice, and they didn't like each other. Like, that's the only difference. They were like loud, they were immature, they were like, you know, they got drunk all the time and they hung out all the time. So in that regard, they were very much like the Merry Thieves, but they were just meaner. Like, that's it. That's the only difference. And I feel like she just made her teenage characters older. You know, like, she used the same formula or whatever, and she just made them older and rude. And Connor wasn't even like rude, like arrogant rude, or like, you know, like funny rude or Will Herondale rude. He was like ick rude. Like, I don't know, it just bothered me, and I just did not like him. Maybe I'll like him more later. Maybe we'll get his perspective next time and I'll start liking him. But like, I doubt that, because Kel, like, in Kel's perspective, he's constantly praising Connor. So if I still don't like him, I don't see any hope, but hopefully I will, because I want to like the main characters. Okay, this is just an observation. It's not like a critique or anything, but like, there were so many similarities, not like in plot or anything, but just in like overall like vibes, like energy, whatever. And also like certain very very hyper specific like scenes from The Last Hours, and it was in this, you know, like, if you read Swordcatcher and if you read The Last Hours, you know, like, there's this one scene in The Last Hours where Cassandra, Cordelia Carstairs, she starts dancing, and after she dances, like, James gets really like, I don't know, he like gets attracted to her and they like kiss and whatever. The same exact thing happened in Swordcatcher. Like, Lynn starts dancing, and then afterward Connor gets like horny and like starts kissing her. Anyway, that happened. And there are just like other similarities, like, you know, it's like very centered on like high society, which Swordcatcher was also centered around, and The Last Hours. So I don't know, the similarities like that, but I feel like those aren't like noticeable enough. Another thing, the Rag Picker King is literally Kaz. Like, I don't even know what to tell you. He's literally Kaz, and Marin is Wylan. Like, I can't even explain it. It's just like, the minute that we met him, I was like, oh, that's Wylan. Even before I knew he was working for the Rag Picker King, I was like, oh, you're here too. But like, yeah, he's literally Wylan, and their dynamic is literally Wylan and Kaz in another universe if Kaz wasn't emotionally unavailable. But yeah, that's it. Like, his criminal underground thing, whatever, the fact that he carries a cane and his hands are described like 5 times as like long and pale and thin and whatever. How are Kaz's hands described? Exactly. I rest my case. Welcome to my TED Talk. But anyway, I liked it. I feel like it was a 4 stars. Maybe it'll change because I just read it. So maybe like usually my like opinion on it changes. It's like I think more about it, or like if I don't think about it, then I usually lower the rating. But yeah, now for my next book. I kind of want to read The Phoenix King because I've been putting it off for so long because I'm scared, because I really want to like it, and I feel like I will, but I'm scared. So we might read that, but I don't know yet. Hey guys, okay, so the last time I updated you was when I read Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. After that, I didn't read any new books, but I did reread like four books, because it's just like I can't help it. Okay, it's like December, and once it's December, I'm like not in like a trying things mood. I want to go back to like what I know, like my comfort books mood. So I end up like rereading like comforting books, like books that like I don't know, that are kind of like they're like wholesome to me. I don't know, they're like comfort books for me. And sometimes it's Six of Crows, sometimes it's other stuff. So I ended up rereading 4 of those because like it's also final season, so like nobody really has the time to like sit down and like immerse themselves in a completely like new world with new character dynamics. It's just like a lot of mental capacity that I just don't have. So I like usually reread books during this time, and this time I reread. Okay, hold on, let me get that. The first is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Who else is surprised? Like, I'm not. You shouldn't be either, because these books are probably the most predictable things ever. I read these at least twice a year. This book, actually, though, I read it for the first time this year. Actually, honestly, I think I read it for the first time in the summer, and since then, I have read it 3 times. Like, this was my 3rd time reading it. I've annotated it. It's just, like, I can't explain it, okay? But we're not going to get into that right now because that's not the point of this video. But I actually read Beach Read next. And then I had Book Lovers, and then I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. These 3 books, like this one is pretty like new. Like I haven't really been reading it for that long. But these 3, I read every single year. I've read them every single year for the past 3 years, like around this time. I read it in winter, and then I read it once in summer, and I read like all the Emily Henry books. It's like the Emily Henry trifecta, except there's also Happy Place. It's like actually right there, but I don't read that one as often. But these three I read all the time. Like I'm always like in the mood for one of them, and then I read like, usually it's Beach Read. I read Beach Read, and then like I'm like, okay, I'm like now in Emily Henry mood. Now I'm in like a rom-com mood. So then I have to read Book Lovers, and then I'm too deep into it. So then I have to read People We Meet on Vacation. It's a vicious cycle. I can't stop it. I don't really want to stop it because these books are so comforting to me. Like I love these books. I've searched far and wide for like romance books that I like, that are just romance, not like anything else in them, and I found them. I mean, I wouldn't really say these are completely romance because I feel like they're more literature, like lit fic romance, but like, yeah, I love these books. I love them so much. They make me so happy. Anyway, back to what the point of this video is. So it's currently December 21st, 2023, obviously. I don't even know why I added the year, but yeah, it's December 21st. It's 9:16. I am on my last week of school before winter break starts, and I have two finals tomorrow, and then I'm done for like 3 weeks technically, because I'm actually going somewhere, so I'm gonna be missing a week. But yeah, I'm so excited, and I wanted to update you guys because I just started The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I actually genuinely, like, this wasn't on my list of books to start this year or like to read in this thing, but in this video, but my friend bought it for me, and she like, it was her Christmas present to me. So I'm really excited to read it. And I did start it actually. I'm on page 96 and I actually kind of like it so far. It's very interesting. It's very, though, I don't know how to explain it, but at the beginning, I think it's on purpose. Now that I'm like reading more into it, I think like it's just really trying to get to the plot. And so the beginning is just very rushed. Like her taking the test, her coming to the academy, her joining the academy, and before you know it, like months has passed, and we're only on like page 96. And I feel like most fantasy books spend so long. Like they spend like at least half the book, especially in the beginning of the series, just like introducing it. So yeah, I feel like she's just trying to kind of rush it so we can get to the actual point of the book, to like the actual action, which like honestly I'm fine with. I actually enjoy it. It's just very like I don't know. It's just sometimes we're like one thing is happening and then randomly it's like it's over and then we switch to the next thing. So that's just like throwing me off a little bit. Excuse the pile of laundry behind me, but I'm officially on break, which means I'm gonna have a lot of time to read, but also I'm going on a trip. So I have a lot of books packed and I wanted to show you guys what I have packed, so like kind of like what I plan on reading. And first we have, okay, I'm only packing 3 books, but I have more on my Kindle, so I think we should be good. First I need to finish The Poppy War. I didn't read that much since yesterday. I'm only on like 134. So yeah, so I have The Poppy War. Then I have The Phoenix King by Aparna Verma. I'm so excited to read this one. So I might make a whole other vlog for this. I think I mentioned it before, but yeah. Then I have Percy Jackson. I haven't read this since 7th grade. I haven't read this since 7th grade. And I really miss it, especially because the show came out. So I've been meaning to reread it for a while, honestly. So I feel like it just makes sense to reread it now. And then on my Kindle, I have a bunch of books. But the one that I kind of want to read again is The Hunger Games. Because everyone is going back into their, like, Hunger Games, like, phase. And I want to go back into my Hunger Games phase. Like, I want to go back to 2015, like, 2017. So yeah, I have that downloaded and I might read that. I feel like I didn't really appreciate this series when I was younger. Like I really liked them. I really liked the Hunger Games, but I didn't like appreciate it. Like it just kind of like went over my head. I didn't really like understand the message, I guess, of it. So I kind of want to read it again because when I read it, I was just like, oh, I love Peeta and Katniss and I just want them to end up together. And that's why I read it. I'm a little embarrassed about it, but yeah, so that's why I want to read it again. And so I have those 2 downloaded. I might download more, but yeah, that's my update. Hi guys, it's been like 3 weeks since I've updated. Like I updated you guys right before I went on vacation, and then I didn't update you again, even though I finished The Poppy War and 3 other books after that. And that's because 2 weeks ago I finished The Poppy War, and I could not for the life of me decide if it was if it was a 4 or 5 star book. And I was like, you know, it's fine, I'll give myself time. And so I thought about it. I slept on it for 2 entire weeks, and I like cannot decide if it's a 4 or 5 star book. Like it says 4 stars on my Goodreads, but like there is no guarantee that that's what it's gonna say like in a day. Okay, like I cannot decide. And so I couldn't decide if I should like end this video or not. But I think I'm gonna end it here with The Poppy War, and then I'll probably continue it in like a few weeks or something, because it is a new year and I don't want this video to be like super long, and I kind of want to start fresh. So I'm gonna end this video here and then I'm gonna continue it. So follow to see my journey. I hope you enjoyed it.